welcome if you're joining us live for our Lunch and Learn today. Today our talk is called Know Your Worth, and we're talking about how to price your services and your packages with confidence. A quick one on ClinicSense. Our goal is simple. We want to help you spend less time on admin and more time doing what you love, and that is working with your clients. And we do that by automating all those tedious daily tasks, helping with your marketing and managing your finances to free up your time and ideally your brain space as well. But beyond the software, we also want to, beyond the software to help managing your practice easily, we also are here to support you as you grow your business and your business skills. And that's why we are so happy and excited to host conversations like today's, because your business mindset is just as important as managing your bookings. So if you're not a ClinicSense customer and you're looking for ways to streamline your business and free up more time, feel free to jump into the community for some peer support. There are loads of members that use ClinicSense there every day. And of course, you can reach out to me anytime. I'd be happy to share more about ClinicSense and how it can help you and your business. All right, let's get into it. Today's talk is all about charging what you're really worth. And we'll go through what exactly that means and what that looks like, the importance of financial planning and budgeting when it comes to pricing and reaching your financial goals, and also understanding these concepts. They allow you to price your services with confidence. But enough from me. I am so happy to introduce our guest speaker, Michael. He is a practicing massage therapist and a business coach with a super relatable and super realistic approach to how you can level up your business and your business skills. I'm so excited to pick your brain a little bit. Thank you, Michael, for joining us, and welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I think this is so cool that you guys actually do these talks on, from my understanding, like a pretty regular basis where you're adding value to your community. So I love that. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. We're happy to have you. This is what it's all about. So yeah, thank you again. But before we jump into it, could you tell us a bit more about yourself, your background, and why you got into doing these kinds of talks and helping people with their businesses?
That's a great question. A little bit about me. I mean, I've been a massage therapist since 2006, so I'm gonna let you do the math on that. It's been quite a while, over 18 years. And I started out, I remember, I wanted to have my own business from the start, but I didn't really know what I was doing. Never had a business before, but I always knew I didn't want to work for somebody else. So I went and worked for somebody else for a while. You know, I started off at one of the biggest chain spas, and I remember when I was there, I told a friend of mine, I was like, dude, if I'm here in 2 years, I need you to punch me in the face.
Yeah.
But that took about 5 years for me to gain the knowledge and the skills to be good enough, in my opinion, to go ahead out on my own. Once I did that, my first month out on my own in my own salon suite, I did 18 hours. First month. By month 6, I was at 60 hours, and by month 12, I was at 90 hours that month. With no real marketing, no paid advertising. That's just networking and word of mouth, right? It was that next year I decided to hire 2 therapists to join my team, and that was probably one of the hardest things I ever did in my life. Not having any knowledge about business or a little bit about management, because I was a manager at the salon or the spa that I was at, but learned a lot of lessons through that. I grew that up to 6 therapists and probably around over 400,000 in revenue. And after 2020, actually 2016, I took over the spa that I was renting from. And so now I have 2 of those where I have 16 rooms that I rent out to other service providers as well. And then after 2020, I decided to scale back a little bit, focus on me, regroup, get a little bit more peace in my life. But it was through that process of growing that business up to 6 therapists that I really found out that I had a love of training them, right? When I could show them these skills that I learned over the years, and then they applied those skills and had success with them. Really, nothing made me happier than that. And so I kind of honed in on that a little bit. And then recently now I am starting to hire therapists again, because I feel I'm ready for that journey again. So it's been quite a journey, but that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, yeah, thanks for sharing. It's always interesting to hear how people got to where they got to. Okay, let's get into it. I know we called this talk Know Your Worth, but I know your worth as a phrase is a bit loaded. Why do you think, what does it even mean to charge your worth, and why do people struggle to charge or price their services?
Yeah, so I mean, when I created the pricing program that I have, I called it know or like charge your worth or know your worth because that's just what everybody says. Like I'm in these Facebook groups and they're always telling people charge your worth, you know. Um, and that's really the only advice we get. I actually don't like that phrase. It's just a buzzword that I chose for
Yeah,
marketing. Um, but most people don't like um, they don't really understand what that statement means, right? The statement charge your worth is only said by people because they don't really actually know how to set their prices or communicate to other people how to set their prices. And so they say charge your worth, but it doesn't actually mean anything. Because I'll go in the comments and I'll say, like, what does that mean? Like you're telling this person, they're asking you what they should charge, and you said charge your worth. Now what?
yeah.
You know? Right. So do you want me to keep going? Like, there's a lot of factors that go into like
Go
figuring
for
out
it.
what you're charging.
Go for it.
Um, so knowing what you're worth before up till now, there really hasn't been a formula for that that I've found. There's a lot of information about what to charge and how to charge. There's a lot of factors that go into it that people talk about, like confidence, right? I think when people say know your worth, they really mean charge to your confidence. And that's what most people do. But the problem is most people's confidence is pretty low, right? Their actual confidence isn't that high. And so a lot of times they're not charging what they're actually worth or what they actually need, right? So confidence is a factor though. Education is a factor, right? Environment inside your spa or your salon and outside, like where the area that you're in is a factor. Your level of service that you provide is a factor, right? Your confidence in the type of results that you can achieve for people is a factor, right? The confidence in your voice and how you speak is a factor in what you're able to charge, right? Your ability to sell and communicate your value is a factor, right? Your competitors' prices, which is another thing a lot of people talk about, that is a factor, right? The average income in your area, right? Who your target market is, the amenities that you offer, these are all factors. The problem is it's not a good formula for charging the right amount, right? And this kind of talk without a plan leaves people struggling financially most of the time, right? So you do want to factor in all those things, but you also want to talk about what do I actually need, right? What do I need to make, right? I want to factor in all those other things, but after I figure out what my needs are, my personal needs and my business needs, then we can talk about how you feel about your prices and your confidence around that.
Yeah, I guess it all starts with that mindset. And I know a lot of therapists, the first thing you do if you don't know where to start, you look at what other people are charging, and that's not necessarily the wisest step. What are the risks people take when you just copy prices?
Look, when you just copy prices and everything, the problem is that everybody's needs are different. Like your needs are different than mine. My therapist that I hire, their needs are different than mine, right? You know, you might have a business, like let's just take Massage Envy for an example, where they can produce high volume. You can't as a solo provider or somebody who's a small business. You don't have the resources or the space to be able to do high volume to where you can charge lower prices, but still make a profit because your expenses are fixed, right? And so comparing only to other people's prices, again, doesn't give you a clear picture you need. So if you're going off of, you know, the membership price at Massage Envy, which is like $70, that might not be what you need. You know, and again, a single mom has different needs than somebody who's married. It's so individualized, and it should be, right? Just as their needs are unique, your prices should be unique, in my opinion. And so you can run into a lot of danger and just if you can get stuck in this cycle of struggle by doing that.
This takes us into financial awareness. Like, how do you figure out What do you need?
Well, I mean, the best thing that you can do is to actually write a budget. I work with so I rent to a lot of people, so I go with them and I do a budget with them a lot of times if they're willing. I don't always do a budget with me, but I do a budget with them, and what they actually learn from that is a lot of times that they actually do have enough gap in their income. They are actually making more than what they need, right? But it first starts with writing down your expenses. What are my home expenses? Write that down. What are my business expenses or my upcoming business expenses? Because maybe you don't have a room that you're renting yet, right? What are those? Write that down. And then a lot of times people have a missing piece or several missing pieces, which are what are the things that I want to do with money, or what are the priorities that I'm not adding into my budget. Most people don't factor in problems into their pricing. The only thing that is constant in life is problems, right? So, but we never factor it in. So when we actually set our prices, we don't think about the unexpected things or the expected things that are not regular, like car tires or car repairs. You know, those are expected expenses. They're just not regular. They always come up when you least expect it and when you're not ready for it. So we need to get ready for those things, you know? And it just starts with actually counting the cost before we start.
If someone is looking at their prices and their budget and they're realizing, okay, hang on, I think my prices are too low and I need to make an adjustment, or I didn't actually budget for, you know, this unforeseen challenges. What's the first thing someone should do to change prices?
I think the first thing they should do is take a breath, right?
That's good advice.
Already here, right? You're already here. You're doing okay, probably, right? Regardless of your financial situation, you are making it in some way. So take a breath, right? You can always work more at these prices if your prices are too low, right? It might hurt your back. You might need to up your massages that you're getting, but you can always work more even at a lower price, right? I don't want to come at anything with the energy of desperation, you know? So I'm going to take a breath is the first thing I do. The second thing I'm going to do, again, is just going back, making and having a plan, then writing the budget and creating a plan to see what I need. And then I'm going to try to mentally work around, is this possible for me? Going over the factors that we talked about earlier. Is this possible for me? Could I actually charge this? Maybe I need to work on my mindset here around money, right? Maybe I need to lower my expenses because my expenses are too high, right? Figuring out like what is the actual factors of I'm not making enough money. Is it because my spending is out of control, right? Which is honestly probably the case most of the time. Almost everybody that I've coached around this has a spending problem. Like 99%. I'm like, oh, actually, you're doing okay financially as far as revenue, but your spending is out of control, right? I was talking with one of my renters when I did her budget, and she has feelings of being broke. She's like, I'm just struggling. I'm broke. I don't have any money. I go over her budget with her, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You have $2,500 extra dollars after everything that you owe, right? And that's including groceries and car gas and all her credit card bills. $2,500. The problem is she's going out all the time with her friends and just spending money beyond her budget. And so she never gets the actual feeling of being successful, even though she has a nice gap that if she was intentional with that, she's got a nice gap in her income that she can actually do extra things with or put that towards other investments or whatever she wants to do if she controls her spending.
If they feel like there isn't enough of a gap between income and expenses, how can they make that bigger? How can they what can they do to lower expenses, increase income? How do you shift that mindset?
I don't I mean, I guess I do work on mindset a bit here, but again, it all starts with a plan. right? Writing down what do you actually need. The thing is, most of us are actually living way beyond our means, not our means, our needs. We need very little, right? But the problem, every level, no matter what, you're sacrificing something. You're not buying something that you could buy. So saying no is probably one of the best things that you can do to create gap in your income, right? Understanding, I think there's a statistic that I looked at a while ago. It's like 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck, and over half of millionaires live paycheck to paycheck. And so somebody who is making $1 million a year but has $1 million in expenses, are they doing better than somebody who's making $120,000 a year but has $40,000 in expenses? I don't think so. They just look like they are. They just have more stuff, but they're not actually doing better than me financially, right? And so saying no when your income goes up, not raising your level of expenses to that income is going to be key in having more gap in your income. No is probably the best advice that I can give. Right? Living on the amount because you were doing it before, right? And I remember when I hired a therapist, at this point, I think that year my wife and I made like 90,000. At that point, it was like the most we've ever made, right? And it was like $30,000 more than we had ever made. And she's like, "Dang, you make a lot of money." I was like, "It don't feel like that," right? Because what we did back then was we just raised our expenses to our level of income. And so we never actually got the feeling of like having more money. So the second thing I would do to create more gap I would get really clear, a really clear picture of what you need to make, a really clear picture of what your expenses are. The third thing is I would create a dream schedule, right? So like my schedule around my pricing do and still make what I need to make. Ideally, I want 4 hours a day, 4 days a week as a service provider, because I can do 6 to 8 hours a day, right? So if I can make my budget on 4, but I'm actually able to do 7, then I have more gap in my income, right? Because I can do 6 or 7 comfortably, no problem, right? 8, kind of pushing it. I don't want to do that regularly. 6 is my sweet spot, but even at 6, that's 2 hours a day more than I need. Does that make sense? And so if I could set my prices based on 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, first off, if I can meet my financial needs on that, that's a really great life, in my opinion. 4 hours a day, 16, you're working hands-on 16 hours a week. Cool. I'm not going to do that though, right? I'm going to work 6. I got 4 kids. So, I want to go on vacation. I want to have more gap in my income. I want to be generous. I want to give to my church and other people, right? So I'm always going to go for more than I need. But if you can do, like I said, 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, if you can create a budget and a financial plan around that, and then you're able to do 5 hours a day or 6 hours a day and get booked, then you have more and you're prepared. You have more profit, and you can do more things to help grow your business or help other people, whatever you want to do with money, right? Then you need to get really good at getting clients in the door, right? I know this isn't a marketing talk, but it's business, right? You need to get really good at getting clients in the door. You need to provide a really great experience for your customers, and you need to be really good at getting them back in the door, because one of the most expensive ways you can run your business is by always needing new clients. You don't want that.
Okay, so let's, for example, say someone has gone through this process and they've realized, okay, actually, I want a more chilled lifestyle. I can comfortably do 4 massages a day for 4 days a week, but my prices aren't reflecting that. I need to up my prices. How can they successfully change that price to a number they want and communicate it to their clients? So basically, increasing your prices. Any words of advice?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a bunch of different strategies you can do, and it depends on how much of a jump you're trying to do. It's not that big of a deal to go from 70 to 80 or 60 to 70. It's only a $10 jump. I don't know that you need to do a ton of stuff, even though for a lot of people, there's still a lot of, oh, it's $10 more. I don't know if people can afford that. If they can afford 60, they can afford 70, right? Period. It's not that much money. They're already tipping you most likely. If you need to work through that, you can just tell them, don't whatever you need, you know? So that's not that big of a deal. But what I did, I went from $80 an hour at one point to 130. That was my jump, right? So the strategy that I used, because that's a big jump, and for sure people dropped off, right? Like, and that's what people are afraid of. But if you're going to do that big of a jump, I only need, you know, if I have 2 clients that take that don't drop off, that covers one dropping off, right? So there's that. But the strategy that I did is basically I anchored when I communicated my prices, my regulars, I grandfathered them into a different rate, right? So if you want to, you can always leave the regulars who are supporting you right now, you could leave them there, right? New clients don't know what your prices are. So you raise your new client price to whatever you want. They have no idea what you've been charging your regulars or what they're grandfathered into. So this is one strategy. I went from 80 to 130 for new clients, but none of the new people knew that I just charged 80 yesterday. They don't know, you know? All they see is all these 5-star reviews and how awesome I am, and they start justifying my price for the one. Oh, he must be good, right? For my regulars, I jumped them from 80 to 100. And I told them, I said, if all you have to do to maintain this $100 price is just come once every 6 months, right? And so I've had people, they still do that. They still get the $100 price. And I've had other people who have dropped off and now they're coming back at my regular price. But it gave me time to build my business at 130 before everybody else gets raised up. And so I built, and I had to work on my confidence. I charged that before I was confident, right? Like that's a big jump. And so I was like, look, I'm going to work into that confidence and I'm going to start doing it. And you can add value. And I gave cupping for free and aromatherapy for free. I started adding in all these amenities for free to help me justify that price. And then it really didn't take that long for me to get there, right? It didn't really take that long. Once I saw people that started actually paying that and then they're coming back, then I was like, okay, maybe I am worth this, you know? So I actually didn't work on my confidence before I did that. I just did it and then worked on my confidence. But there's still strategy involved, right? I'm not just doing that stupidly, right? I didn't jump everybody up to 130, and I can promise you a bunch of people that dropped off and never came back. So you definitely want to have strategy around doing it.
Fake it till you make it, but do it smartly.
For sure.
I know you have a cool strategy when it comes to packages as well. And I'm sure that ties into your client loyalty, ties into your financial stability and your long-term goals for you and your clients. Tell us about how people can use packages in a smart way for a more predictable income.
Well, I mean, you could use packages or you could do memberships, whatever you want. I typically go with packages that have a membership benefit attached to it. There's not a wrong answer. It's just what I prefer. I prefer packages because I don't want to deal with getting new credit cards on file for people when it they lose a credit card, now their payment didn't go. I don't want to deal with that. And so I chose packages when I used to do memberships. Neither one is wrong. It just depends on. I like memberships too because it's a lower price point and probably more people would take advantage of it. So there's pros and cons of both. But when you're setting your prices, one of the issues that people have is they set their price. Like, let's say they're like, dude, all I need to do, I just need to make $80 an hour. And so they start charging $80 an hour. But then they discount a little bit for the 90-minute and they discount a little bit more for the 2-hour. And now they're their $8 per hour price that they need. And so this is one of the things is you need to, yes, find out what you need. But then if you're going to offer better prices for 3-hour, 6-hour, 12-hour packages like I do, which most people do, you have to raise your price above what you need. Right? So if you're going to be at if your need is $80 an hour to cover your personal expenses, your business expenses, and then the other things you want to do with money, if you need $80 an hour, 4 hours a day, then you really need to probably be at $120 per hour. Because you have to have, again, this gap in between what you're charging and what you need to leave space for first client discounts, if you're going to do that, for package pricing and membership pricing, right? Otherwise, you're going to be down at 60 and you're going to be wondering why you're struggling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is why sitting down and running these numbers is so important. And then there's a strategy involved to where if you do it right, you can easily lead these people to packages because it just makes sense, right? I'm getting such a better price if I do this package, right? That's why if I go 120 and your lowest package, like let's say for 12 hours, you're at $85 an hour breakdown, right? I don't have my phone on me, but if you do that math, $80 an hour is 1080, I think. But so 85 is a little more than that. Well, then that's your biggest discount that you offer is still above your bottom price that you need. And we're rarely going to go below that. So somebody has to buy 12 hours to get that price. And some people will, because it makes sense, because it's so much better than 120. The 120 is the decoy price. Right? This is where people they get messed up around pricing strategy. And they think that like this number that I charge, my regular rate is my regular rate. Your regular rate is your package rate, or it's your membership rate. That's your regular rate. That's the number that you need to be like, I can't really go below this. All the other prices is decoys. It's leading people to the package or to the membership if it's done right.
How do you present it to your clients when you tell them about packages? Say they came for one treatment. Oh, I'm not really sure. I don't really know what I want. What's that journey like? How many treatments do they come for? When do you suggest it?
Man, that's a long talk right there.
We need a new talk for that.
That process starts at the website. That is the entire business process, right? From them looking on your website to how you interact with them on the phone to the consultation, which is probably one of the main pieces, right? Really sitting down to find out and understand the client's current situation is key. And there's key questions that you ask in there, right? One of the key questions is, how long do your results normally last when you've gotten massages in the past? And then the idea of, well, what should my recommendation for them be? Right? And then after I do the consultation, I'm going to give them a fire service, right? I have to blow them away here. This is the audition. Can I get you results? Right? Does it feel good? Do you actually feel better after the session? Right? So I have to blow them away there. And then after the session, I need to come in and actually make a recommendation. Here's my frequency recommendation. This is how often I think you should come in so that we can get you the best results. Now, the chain spas have skewed what we think a proper recommendation is. And we think that once a month is a good recommendation. It's not. Once a month is a recommendation for maintenance. It's like you're feeling good and you just want to maintain where you're at. That's what once a month is. You don't have any major aches and pains, come in once a month just for general maintenance. But most people are going to need once or twice a week, every other week, or if they're feeling pretty decent, but maybe we're close to the maintenance, maybe you come back in 3 weeks. So getting your recommendation down is key. And then that easily leads into, and we can make that a little bit easier with one of our packages or our membership, right? So I'll give you an example. Here's my process for my business. I can't even believe I'm telling you this right now. I charge.
Ooh, the juicy detail.
I charge this. So my price for an hour is $150. Now, And strategically, my 2-hour is 200. My 90-minute is 200, and my 2-hour is 250. So there's an even jump in between each one. 150, $50 more, 200, 250. Because my bottom price that I need is $110 per hour. That's my bottom price. So that price for a 90-minute is $165. That equals $110 per hour. Are we on the same page?
Got it.
Okay, so my hour is $150. I don't discount my hour because I don't want people, I like longer sessions.
Yeah.
So I'll discount my 90-minute $30 for a first-time visit. Okay, so when people are like, what's your price? I say, well, my hour is $150, but for your first visit, if you come in for 90 minutes, you can get that for $170. So it's only a $20 jump. It's a no-brainer for me to get people in for the 90-minute, right? So let's say I do $35 off and it's $165 for the 90-minute. We'll just keep it there for easy numbers. You'll see why it's easy. Okay, my package price for a 3-hour package is $360. Okay, that breaks down to $120 per hour. My 6-hour is $690. That breaks down to $115 per hour. And my 12-hour is $1320. That breaks down to $110 per hour. So you can see how I have strategically set up my best price, my biggest discount with my highest package.
Yeah.
On the same page? Okay, so I say you can come in for $150 for an hour, or you can come in for $165 for 90 minutes. Only a 15-minute. That's my $110 per hour price. I'm not losing anything except for the gap on the first visit. I am making what I need for my service. Okay, but they are getting a great deal, right? So it's a no-brainer. They do it. They love it. They're super happy that they just got this deal.
Yeah.
So then I do the consultation, I do a great massage, I blow them away in the session, and I make a recommendation. And then I tell them, look, you came in for $165 today. I can do that one more time, or I can do that 3 more times if you pay up front today. That way it makes this a little bit easier for you to stick to. Well, one more time, if they do that, is $330. So we're only $30 away from my normal package rate for 3 hours. 3 more times is $660. Again, only $30 away from my normal 6-hour package price. So it's a no-brainer. I know they did that. They're happy for it. They loved it.
Yeah.
What a great price. Well, you're only $30 away now from my regular rates that I need and that I want. And so it's a no-brainer the next time for them to do it again for just $30 more.
Super smart.
And that's kind of how it breaks down. And then some people will go and they'll do the 12-hour, and I have several people on that package as well. But by doing it that way, so when I used to be at $130, $195, and $260, so it's a $65 jump in between each one, I got more people doing the hour, and I don't want to do hours. I like longer sessions. So more people were doing the hour. Now they would do all of them, but I had way more people doing the hour. Since I bumped my price up to $150 for the hour, $200, only $5 more than before, and I lowered it for the 2-hour to seamlessly go up this price. I got more people doing 90 minutes in 2 hours than ever before. And I got more people. Most people were buying the 3-hour package before. Most people are buying the 6-hour package now. So I'm getting more people doing longer sessions, and I'm getting more people buying higher packages by pricing my services right.
What would you say your percentage is of people who agree to packages once you've gone through your first treatment?
Yeah, probably like 90%.
Wow.
Yeah, most of the people that are coming to me are on packages. You know, I have a few people who are paying my actual regular rate, and that's fine too. Super happy with that.
Yeah.
You know, it just makes so much sense to do the package if you're going to be coming in regularly.
We have a question actually from the community a couple of days ago. Britt said she's been struggling with ways to successfully market packages and she asked for any feedback and tips. I mean, we kind of touched on it. Do you do anything for marketing packages prior to meeting someone? Do you advertise your packages?
No, not really. Not really. I might market my packages in my emails, and I might do some deal on a Valentine's Day package.
Yeah.
And because where I'm at now in business, before, when I was building my clientele more, I might have done more of that, marketing packages up front or something like that. So I mean, you can, what I do I like offering bulk discounts for sure. Right? I would keep it lower if you need more business. I would market a 2 package or a 3-hour package at a better rate. I was just listening to another business coach. One of the things she did when she was young in her business is, Groupon and stuff like that. Well, she basically, before Groupon was a thing, the spa she was at marketed like 3 30-minute sessions for $47. So now we get somebody in for 3 times, but only for 30 minutes. So we have the chance to upgrade them. They paid $47 for these 3 half hours, but each time they upgrade to an hour for an additional $40 or something like that. So but you get to work with them 3 times, right? So the likelihood that they come back for a 4th, I think, is really high. And I got that. So I would do that strategy before, not that cheap, but I learned that strategy from a restaurant, right? Because I think I was watching Bar Rescue, the dude from Bar Rescue.
Oh yeah.
talk about marketing for restaurants, and he's like, dude, if you can get them in 3 times, he goes, the likelihood of a 4th visit is over 70%, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe that works for us too. So I started doing that. I think what people struggle with around this is discounting.
Yeah.
This is the thing I probably get the most hate for is me recommending that people discount to get people in the door.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm very on board with that because as a business owner, I care about revenue and profit. I don't really care about full price. So, right, I'm sure with ClinicSense, I'm sure you guys offer some sort of free trial. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least at one point you did, right? Maybe you're adding so much value in the marketplace you don't need to anymore. But at one point you're offering some sort of free trial so people can experience your product. And if they like it, then they're going to buy it. It's the same. Every business does this, but in the massage field specifically, and some of the other like aesthetics and all these other things, it's so hated on. But it's because they never did the equations that we're talking about, and they don't actually know what their prices should be. So when I discount, like I said, I don't lose anything. I'm getting what I need to charge.
Discounting makes sense if it's if you know your numbers and know you're still getting what you need. It's just a business strategy, marketing strategy.
I can't think of one business that doesn't use that strategy. The only business I can think of is Apple. That's it. Even though that's the case, Verizon uses this strategy. Hey, turn in your phone and we'll give you a free iPhone because they want to keep exchanging money with you long term. And this is what we forget about. Like I ask people, they're like, you think we should discount? I'm like, dude, let me ask you. If I said, hey Nicole, if you give me $20, I'll give you 80. Would you take that deal?
Yeah.
All day. But when in business, if I say, hey, if you give me $20 off, I'll give you 80. You say, no, I'd rather take 0 for this hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for this person who's struggling to sell packages or get people in, again, we need people in the door. We need a full schedule before we worry about full price. This mindset right here keeps so many people struggling. Like I've worked with, I've seen this mindset where people will literally say all day, I'm not taking $50 because that's not my full price. And so I'll just sit here and do nothing and I'll make no money today because this is my problem with the mindset. I'm worth 100. That's my problem with this mindset, this charge your worth mindset, because I see it keeps so many people struggling in their business. I'm like, dude, I would rather make 50 today than nothing. Like, I need revenue. I got to eat. I got rent to pay. And $50 gets me closer to that than zero all day. I might have to work more in the beginning, but as my schedule gets full and I am in more demand, then I can command a higher price.
The grind in the beginning, understanding the long-term financial goals will be super helpful.
Well, we forget about long-term revenue, right? The long-term value of a client. Again, am I willing to give up 30, 20, or $30 today to get somebody who comes twice a month for a year and equals thousands of dollars in my business? 100%. I'll give up that money all day. And I think we forget that all marketing has a cost to it, whether it's your time or it's your money paying for Facebook up front or Google ads. Like, so many people will be like, don't discount, go pay for Google ads, right? Well, you have to pay like $500 or $1,000 up front for those Google ads and then hope that you get enough money. So let's say you're charging $100 an hour and you just paid $1,000 for Google ads. Well, now you have to do 10 sessions for free to break even. Like, you made no money for 10 sessions. So did you discount or did you get full price? You know, like, I don't know. You tell me, you know?
Yeah.
So, but we forget that there's a cost to everything, even networking. Like, your time has a value, right? And the way you equate that value is how much money do I make, right? So let's say you make $100,000 a year. I'm not going to do this math right, but $100,000 a year, you divide that by 2,000 hours, because that's the average working year. And then what that number is your hourly worth. That's what you're worth an hour. It's pretty low for most people.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, let's say it's $25 an hour that you get when you do that equation. So when you go network for 2 hours, you just paid $50 for that. And now you have to try to make that money up because you're behind. It's not free. Everything has a cost. So yeah, you know, like I said, this mindset, I think it destroys people's businesses.
It's the biggest challenge or block you've seen with your clients as a coach? Is it the mindset? Is it the willingness to discount?
Yeah, that I would say when it comes to marketing, you know, everybody wants like the secret formula, and how do I? It's the question I get the most. How do I get people to pay me full price? That's like one of the biggest questions I get. And I'm like, why are you so worried about full price? I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna pick on my current coaching client. She's a rock star, right? She just got licensed a little over a year ago and started growing her business while in school still. And when she first got on the phone with me, she's like, because she knows my content, she's like, I don't want a discount though to get new people in the door.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, well, let's go back. I was like, what did you do to get your current clients? Because she has a pretty full book. She hired me because she wants to start hiring therapists, right? So we worked on all that. So what did you do to get clients now? She's like, well, when I was in school, I made a post in this Facebook group offering people free massages. And I got like 250 people who wanted to do that. And she goes, and so I gave them free massages. She's like, most of them tipped me. And once I started charging out of school, she's like, almost nobody barked at the price jump. And, you know, they're paying me, you know, 90 or $100 an hour at the time. I think it was 90 at the time. And she jumped up to 100 a year later. And I was like, so you discounted and it was really successful. She's like, I see it now. She's like, I'm just like, you know, she worked in restaurants. She's like, I'm just so jaded from like all the deals that my old boss used to do and how the clientele that it brought in. But I'm like, there's ways to do this successfully. Okay, so what I don't do is I don't negotiate my price. Right? If you ask me for a discount, it's most likely going to be a no. Right? Well, can you do a better price than that? Absolutely not. I'm not going to negotiate with you on my price. I will make offers to get people in the door. I'll do that, but that's my decision.
Yeah.
Right? It's me wanting to do that. not you thinking that you can negotiate what my price is. Another mistake people make around that is they discount all the time, over and over and over and over again, and there's no end to it. And so that now becomes your new price. That's your price. Your regular price is not your price, but you do the same discount every week, all the time. And so your price isn't actually, $100 an hour. It's $60, because every week you're sending it out to everyone that your price is $60 this week. Hey, come in for $60. Hey, come in for $60. So why would anybody come in at $100? And so there's a proper way to do it, and there's an improper way to do it that will suck the life out of your business. I'm a big proponent of people using Groupon in the beginning when they're trying to grow their business. But again, there's a proper way to do it in a way that would absolutely drain the life out of you. And so you just have to have the right strategy.
If someone forgets everything what you said in this whole talk, what's the one thing they should take away?
The first thing I would say is don't fall into the trap of always raising your expenses to your level of income. Right? All of us are living way outside of what we actually need right now. Right? It's okay to go after more, but don't idolize material things. Right? It's okay to go after more, but don't forget to be grateful for where you are now. So that's one thing. Another thing would be to make service your goal, not money. Right? More money is just a byproduct of serving people really well, in my opinion. And I find that when I focus on service over everything else and doing the best possible job I can in my sessions and improving there and having a great process and really sitting down with people and showing them that I care and they're more than just a number to me or a dollar sign, they come back and they tell their friends about me. Right? And it's not about the money. It's about the service. The money is just a byproduct, right? Money is just thank yous with presidents' faces on them, as Dave Ramsey would say, or something like that, right? And then lastly, I would say that you're most likely not after wealth or a certain number. You're after a feeling, right? A lot of us have this number, but the truth is you're after a feeling. Feelings of being wealthy, feelings of being financially free, right? We can have that feeling now if we manage our money well, right? And manage our expenses well and setting our prices properly and start living within and below our means. That would be my advice.
Where can people find you for more of this advice?
Main two areas, at Michael Ortiz Jr. on Instagram and TikTok. I post more on TikTok. So at Michael Ortiz Jr., Instagram and TikTok. And then if you want, I actually have a pricing workbook, the Know Your Worth workbook, where you can work through this yourself on my website, michaelortizjr.com. It's free. You can download that. And yeah, those would be the places.
Awesome. I'll add those into the chat for anyone who wants to reach out, Michael, or get that book. If anyone has any questions after the chat, feel free to reach out to us whenever you want. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much again.